All right, welcome back to Toolbox Talks. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but haven't had time. A lot of life stuff going on. So this first episode of this series is going to be about the industry and why it's dying. The automotive industry has been a very big thing in my life and a lot of my friends' lives. We all love cars, and so it's became one of our strong points and one of the more enjoyable things that we like about our careers. But it is a very dying career. Not many kids are getting out of school and wanting to do it anymore, and there's a lot of different reasons why. One of the big ones that pushed me towards this versus anything else is the teachers nowadays aren't pushing the blue collar fields: plumbing, electric, um, automotive, auto body, construction. There's a handful of the different careers in the blue collar field. Um, but they're basically putting it into all of these kids' heads that if you're not going to a university, you're not going to make it. And that's not true in the slightest. I've got a lot of friends that are blue collar people that they make more than most of my friends that went to college and are having to pay for college after. Then, it's just one of those that it's not true. I mean, in some aspects, big money lawyers and stuff like that, yeah, they're going to make more money. But I know that some linemen and stuff like that, they make more money than that. But some of the key points is pricing in the automotive industry, the pay in the automotive industry, the wear and tear on your body. I mean, it's not easy on you at all. The happy medium between high pricing and making enough profit but not giving stuff away for free is a big one. So, there for the longest time, we are only at $85 an hour here. And we just now moved it up to 110. We're a small place out in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. So most of the dealerships are up around the $170, $180 range. And we just moved our labor rate up, and we still have customers that get a little upset about it. They're like, you know, why am I paying this much for y'all to fix my car? It's just nuts and bolts. Well, that's because this is no longer an 84 Dodge Ram or a, square body Chevrolet. It's, a lot more modules and electrical issues and a lot more stuff's getting put into these cars that makes it a lot harder to work on. And equipment. I mean, I don't want to leave the heavy duty guys out of this. Some of these newer semis and, you know, dirt movers and stuff, it's getting just about as bad. Um, but one of the big things, like I said, is price of everything. $2,500 to fix your car versus fix your home. If you've got an electrician that comes up and they're like, hey, $2,500 to rewire your whole house, or, hey, I'm gonna have to redo half your roof. It's gonna be about $2,500 at your home. It's all right. Go ahead and do it. I'll find the money somewhere. Where if your car lays down and it needs the transmission rebuilt, or it dropped a valve and you got to have the head sent off, $2,500. They're like, no, I'll just go buy a new car for that. Well, those days are shortly ending. Um, cars nowadays, some of them are up past $100,000 for a Suburban or an Expedition or some Durangos. I mean, it's insane what the automotive industry is coming to and how expensive stuff is getting. That also leads into the next part. Parts are expensive. ECUs are expensive. They're getting hard to find. New bill got passed during COVID that they don't have to hold on to parts for 4 years or 5 years, like keep making them after the car ended. They only have a 2-year span that they can be like, you know what, I'm done making this module or this water pump or these interior pieces. So some of these cars that are having electrical issues and stuff like that, finding parts is hard, and junkyard parts are almost as bad nowadays. Um, and I mean, getting into some of the part shortages and stuff like that, we also have the electric guys. Electric is the way, as a lot of people say, but they're quickly learning it is not. Hybrid was a really good idea, and a lot of people almost had it pretty well hammered out. Toyota really hit it on the head with the Prius. Yeah, they've got their issues, but I mean, they're still very reliable vehicles. We get some in here with 300, 400,000 miles on them. But I mean, Tesla, I mean, they've monopolied their entire parts system. You've got to be a very specific person that knows a person to be able to work on a Tesla, not just tires and stuff like that, but to actually repair them. That, or you got to find a wrecked one and go through a big ordeal of getting parts that way. Another thing is all these kids are coming in after the tech schools. They go to YO Tech or Lincoln Tech. That's just the ones that are close to me here in Tennessee. But they come out of those and they think, I'm all high and mighty. I know everything. Well, you know a lot. Don't get me wrong, more than some people that just jump into this field. But you don't know everything, and you won't know everything. I'm coming up on my 8th year in this field. My boss, he's been in it for 25, almost 30 years, and there's still cars that come in here that stump us, and it takes us a couple of days to figure out. I mean, you're not going to know everything, and the day that you think you do, you need to get out of the field. You're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody. That goes for heavy duty diesel. I mean, um, airplanes and stuff like that. I mean, mechanics is one of those things that it just takes one loose bolt and you could ruin a family's life. Like, a lot of people don't think about it that way, but I've seen it happen at different shops that I've been at and seen it all over the news. And I mean, small stuff. The learning curve from school to the field is also another one. Um, a lot of people, like I said, they come out of school and they know it all, and then they get dropped on their feet as a tech, because they say they're a tech and they think they can back it up, and then they get thrown a couple of first diags. And don't get me wrong, some kids come out of school and they know a lot and they can figure it out on their own, but some they drown in it, especially if they're on flat rate. I mean, you do 5 or 6 diags and you're trying to push for that hour diag to be a 2 hour diag, and they're like, no man, I can't make the customer pay another hour just because you couldn't figure it out in an hour. And you can swallow a lot of water trying to get back up to the top, especially whenever you first get into this industry. um, Another thing is the pay compared to the big corporations and fast food, like minimum wage and stuff. A lot of places here, they're starting to bump minimum wage up almost $20 an hour. I mean, there's people at McDonald's, making $20 an hour just flipping burgers. You know, it's one of those things. Yes, some of those managers have been there for years and they deserve a decent pay. Some of them are retired and that's just what they want to do, so they don't have to sit at the house. I don't blame them. Um, but that really hurts us in this industry, because in between flat rate and hourly and everything like that, um, us trying to charge our amount that we need to make an honest living and to afford, all these tools and everything like that, it's hard. I mean, you got to think right now, I'm 8 years in and I'm $52,000 in tools. Some people have a lot of debt in it. Luckily, I'm one of those that I manage my money very well, and I'm not that bad off. I only owe a couple of $1,000s here and there. But I've got some friends that they jumped into this head first, and they're $3, $4, $5,000 in debt. Some are even more, $30,000, $40,000 in debt. And I mean, tools ain't cheap. I mean, you can buy cheap tools, and they'll get you by for a while, which will be another video. Is starting tools. And look, don't buy Snap on everything. Just don't be that guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, they make good tools, but you don't need Snap on everything, I promise. Another big thing is, I'm in a mom and pop shop. They're trying to pay us a good amount, that way we stay around. And you've got other big dealerships and Firestones and Midases and stuff like that are corporately owned, but also small town owned at the same time, depending on where they're at. And they have this massive overhead that they've got all these people in different places that have a lot of money that they can dish out to certain places, and they can pay their techs higher. It just makes it harder on the mom and pop shop to be able to pay good techs good money, and everybody be happy. Another thing that I've run into is bad shop environments. We all know, we've been in those shops, that it's an absolute ordeal. You come in, everybody's pissed off all the time. They don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. Everybody's griping about everybody else and management and da 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 da. And a lot of people shop hop is what we call it down here, but they bounce from one shop to another trying to find their home. And don't get me wrong, I did it too. I mean, I think everybody has. I got very lucky at the place that I'm at now. Small mom and pop shop. There's only 4 of us techs, including my boss, and he works 2 bays down from me every single day turning wrenches. And it's one of those that once you find the place that you want to be at, stick with it. I don't care if they offer you more money to go, somewhere else. The money's not always worth it, especially if you have somebody that wants to invest time in you as well as invest in you, send you to go get your ASEs, want to teach you things, want to send you off to schools, stuff like that, because this industry is unlike any other and it is gaining so much and so fast. I mean, the brand new 2024 and 2025 Silverados, Suburbans, Tahoes, they all have Ethernet cords in them. Like, why do they need an Ethernet cord? I don't know. Engineers thought it was a good idea, so we'll fix whatever breaks. That's what we do. And that leads into another thing: the pain of diagnosing electrical issues. You've got 9 modules talking to each other, and Jerry gets pissed off at Jimmy, and so that then it just brings down the CAN bus line, and then you got to figure out why they're mad at each other. And then it could be a completely different module on the opposite side of the car that's been drowning in water for the past 9 months after a car accident. And, it's bringing down the whole CAN bus line, not letting some computers do certain things. And, some things not starting. Some things are just, they just mess up. I mean, we've had a lot of the Chevrolets come in with the human interface module freaking out. And what's bad is we can't get them. It's another one of those parts that they ran for 2 years and they were like, you know what, we're done. They don't need them anymore. Everything's working great. Yeah, it's working great because it's only got 60,000 miles on it. And, we've got some that people put some miles on a lot. They drive them every day, drive them very, very far every day. And these modules are just getting harder and harder to find. I mean, we've got probably 5 or 6 out in the parking lot waiting on them, but we just can't find them. And I mean, they're 18, 19s. Like, they're not, a 2007. It's, 2018, 2019. I think we even have one 2020 that's we're having to find parts for. But it's just an absolute mess on some certain things, and the amount of wires running through here and there. And then, of course, everybody still thinks that they can work on their own car. And they route a wiring harness a certain way. That wiring harness rubs on something else, and then it shorts out all kinds of different things. We had a Jeep come in that they wanted to do their own oil cooler. Very known 3.6 problem. I think we all know that at this point. And, more power to them. If they want to try to tackle it, have at it. It's not that hard of a job after you've done a couple. And they didn't put the wiring harness back right on the driver's side, and it sagged down and hit the steering linkage, steering shaft. Rubbed a hole in it, shorted itself out, shorted the coil, the ECU, and just a bunch of other stuff. Melted a couple of grounds. I truly don't know how it did as much damage as it did. But I mean, it's small things like that even, new techs, if they just don't even know better. I mean, they've only been in it a year and they don't understand. And I mean, that's like this tool right here, we'll get into it. But I mean, a power probe, for new techs, you don't need this. You will break a lot of things. You'll blow a lot of things up. It costs a lot of money to the shop that you're at. That's a very, very controversial tool. A lot of dealerships have banned them and stuff like that. My buddies, they're always, I wish I could have that because they're in dealerships. And it's like, well, I mean, it's another great reason why I'm at an independent shop and not at a dealership anymore. Another big thing is the pain on your body. I mean, I'm 27, turning 28 this year. And I mean, I already have partial arthritis in my hands. I mean, these power tools, they help a lot more to save on your hands and your arms and stuff. But I mean, turning wrenches every day, you're going to gain calluses in your hands. You're going to start, giving out after a while. And yeah, back pain, make sure to wear good shoes. I've learned that over the years. I used to wear, the $50 Nike shoes you can buy anywhere. And I learned real quick and in a hurry that it's not all worth just the $50. Buy a good set of shoes, buy a good pair of boots, especially you field techs. I know you guys try to push off your boots for a long, long time, and I'll get them, next month, and you've got holes and your boots look like Crocs. So buy a good set of shoes. It'll definitely save you a lot of time and a lot of pain later on. Don't mess up your knees and your back. It's not worth it. Um, but the efficiency is another big thing in this career. A lot of places are all flat rate and stuff like that. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. I'll make another video on flat rate and hourly plus commission, flat rate plus commission, and the hybrid system and stuff like that. I've worked on all of them. I'm on hourly commission, so it's like a hybrid system now. I really, really like it. My boss, he came up with it, and I mean, I make good money. I don't have to complain about that at all. Um, but flat rate is one of those things that you have to be efficient. You have to be very, very efficient in getting your job done and getting it done correctly the first time. And if you're not, you're losing money every day. And for people that don't know what flat rate is, I don't know who all this video is going to get out to, but flat rate is basically this job calls for, I don't know, one of these tickets has got some 4 hours for a valve body on a Ford. All right, you get that valve body done in 2 hours running and driving, you're golden. You save 2 hours, you can get another car in your bay and make more money and more hours off of the save time that you had. If you get it done in 4 hours, good job, you broke even. That it's very hard to do in some things. Now, if that job takes you 8 hours, and you lost it because you're still only getting paid for the 4. It doesn't matter how much you complain or this and that. You're stuck with the 4 hours. Another thing that I learned working at a dealership was, I'll get you on the next one. I'll get you on the next one. And that next one never seems to come from some of those service riders. Now, some of the service riders, I have to say, they kept up with it. They scratched our back as much as we scratched theirs, and we'd help them out whenever we could. But some of them are like, I'll get you on the next one, don't worry. And, 3 years later, and they're still, I'll get you on the next one. And the gravy never shows up, or, they never bump up your hours to try to help you or anything like that. So, it's one of those that flat rate is hard to make a living off of, especially in a small town like here. You don't have very many people coming in and out, and you don't have a lot of people just in general. If you don't have flow, you don't have money. Now, some of these bigger cities, if I went a couple hours, to Nashville, oh yeah, there's tons of money in Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, that kind of thing. Tons of money there. You got a lot of people, a lot of cars. So, after you get efficient, you just roll through them and you can make a ton of money off of it. That's like we specialize in Chevrolets and domestic stuff. We do a lot of transmission rebuilds, a lot of them. And I think right now, on average, I can pull a four-wheel drive 6L80 out in somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes if I'm messing around. I think my record's 36, 38. And it's just after you've done so many, you get fast at them. My boss, he blows my mind. He can have it out on the table 30 minutes or less. Dude's an animal. And, one day I'll get there, but that day's definitely not today. But it's one of those that the industry really needs to focus on some of these things. Reach out to kids that they don't want to go to a university. Bring them into the shop, or bring up, an automotive program in the high schools. We've got a couple of kids that are coming over here in the next couple of months as apprentices. We're going to watch them real closely and, teach them the things that we know. So maybe that way, if they do ever come into this career, they'll already have a head start on some of the other kids that, didn't. And, show them our tips and tricks, because that's one thing that's another massive struggle is you've got older techs that are just fed up and done with this. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand. You're ready to retire, and all the bullcrap we deal with parts and, electrical issues and, part shortages and just stuff not going right, stuff breaking and stuck. And it's a big ordeal. But, some of this older generation, they don't want to help the younger generation. They're, just figure it out. Just figure it out. Tough love kind of thing. That tough love, it doesn't help a lot of times. Sometimes kids need it. Don't get me wrong. We've got a couple of apprentices that they've needed it. But it definitely doesn't help the kids that actually want to learn. And then, of course, the kids that know it all. That's the two big things right there. Them two get into a shop together, and it's just not going to go well. The older generation don't want to show anything, and, we've got pro demand and all data. and we call it no data because you literally have nothing on there unless you're working on Mercedes or some kind of European car, and then they've got a lot on those. But other than that, we're pro demand all the way. Um, you've just got to go through, follow the diagnostic tree or follow the teardown procedure, and it gets hard at some certain points. I mean, some of these timing chains that people are coming out with on like Audis, and a lot of people were all kinds of crazy about the Coyote engines whenever they first came out. Ooh, 4 timing chains, they're not that hard. Like, I promise, after you've done a couple, the first one will kick your butt, don't get me wrong. After you've done a couple, you start to get in a groove, you're like, all right, these aren't that bad. But I've done probably a handful of Audis. Every time I open up a timing cover, I'm like, I still have no idea what's going on. You watch 90 bajillion videos and try to figure out how to do it. But the industry is just, we need to charge more, but we also can't, if that makes sense. We're fighting the very fine line of push a little bit whenever we can. Bump up labor rates or hourly wages whenever we can, and it's fine tooth and nail what we're cutting to take from Peter to pay Paul, and from the managers and the owners and this and that, and it's a good thing and a bad thing because everything is starting to become a happy medium. We're all starting to work together because there's not very many shops left. I mean, here where I'm at, there is us and 2 other shops and then 2 dealerships. That's it. That's literally it. Um, 45 minutes away, back where my home is, there's, 7 shops. We got like 6 or 7 dealerships, but independent wise, we don't have very many. And it's the people that truly want to pay their techs to stick around and fight it out that are the only ones left. And the ones that are actually good teachers and they want to show you how to do it. We started doing a thing a while back just because of how ramped up everything's starting to get with having to diagnose modules and stuff like that. We started doing classes where we all sit down every other Friday after lunch and we pick something out and we learn about it, whether it be some of the new CAN bus systems or some of the new wiring diagrams and chasing certain things. Or if we've had a car here that's been here for a couple of weeks that one tech couldn't figure out and then 2 techs couldn't figure out, we'd pull it in and all of us would sit there and work on it, try to figure out what it was. And by the end of those 4 hours, it's figured out. We know exactly what it is. But it's, my boss takes the time out of his day and still pays us for that half a Friday and teaches us. Not many people are going to be willing to do that. And it's a very, very large thing that needs to happen because the industry is always changing. And I know Enright Automotive, he preaches about it. And there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of classes that are held all over the U.S. and you need to go. I mean, it's one of those that they're teaching things that's coming up in the near future that we need to know about, whether it be hybrid systems or the new, Ethernet cords, which I don't know why it's there, but it is. And, we're going to have to learn how to work on it. It's, it's more of a do or die kind of thing because if you don't want to work on electrical, you're not going to be in it very far. I mean, this career, you can have parts changers, but not many people want to pay a parts changer a tech price. So that's my output on the industry and why it's dying. You guys have any more things? I talked to probably, 17 of my close friends that are all techs at different places, and my boss and coworkers, and we all talked back and forth trying to figure out our things on what all we thought needed to be in this video and the pinpoints on it. So if you guys think of anything else, please comment down in the comment section and I'll get back with you as well because I'm willing to learn more. I want to know what everybody else is going through in this industry, not just here in small town Tennessee, but all over the U.S. I know emissions is a very big thing out west, like Cali area and stuff. Emissions has been an absolute ordeal. But at the same time, the EPA is the reason why we make so much money. They keep adding all this stuff into cars and they keep breaking, so we got to fix it somehow. I'll get into that in a different video as well. But this is the first episode of very many to come. I've got about, I'd say about 30 videos lined up that I've just got to get the time to make pinpoints on them and really wrap my head around stuff. That way we can all have this conversation and learn more all together as an entire group. Um, like I said, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any more video ideas and stuff you want to ask me, go for it. I'm wanting to do some tool reviews and stuff very soon, and as well as do another toolbox walk through, because I've bought a lot more stuff, as well as I've moved a lot of stuff from different boxes. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like the video if you want to. Comment down below. I would really like to talk to you guys and figure out what else I'm missing. That way I can learn more. But thank you guys and have a great rest of the day.